Well, here we go. It's round 15 of the AFL season. Who'd have thought it'd come around so quick? They grow up so quickly, don't they? Welcome once again to the Titus and Sergio Variety Hour podcast. I'm Sergio Paradise. He's Titus O'Reilly. And just for the record, we're both wearing our Muley Jedinak face masks that we got out of the Herald Sun this morning.
I haven't seen the hard copy of the Herald Sun this morning.
Yeah, you can get your Muley Jedinak face mask. Not dissimilar to the Prince Harry or your Meghan one.
I saw someone had the Megan Gale, not Megan Gale, Megan, what's her name? Markle. One on, it's something Megan I went
Clark?
to.
Yeah.
Megan Clark, I don't know. She probably, knowing you, she probably runs a bar somewhere at a beach or something. So Socceroos, it's all happening in the World Cup. Have you been? We didn't cover off the final bit of Optus where they've totally handed everything back to SBS
and
refunded everyone to their credit,
and then said that if anyone wants the app and that now, you can have it for free.
People said it's too high a price.
Yeah, exactly. It's not worth the trouble.
Is that not? That's one of the biggest fails I've seen in some time.
It's not only a fail in a practical sense in that people couldn't see the World Cup the way they were expecting to, but as a corporate sort of, PR fail, it's one of the all-time greats, I think.
Well, the worst thing they said is they hadn't anticipated the demand. Now, I could understand if they said, we thought our technology was up to the demand, but it wasn't. Yeah. Because then you go, okay. But so that could be like, well, that would be a mistake that you thought your technology was good enough, but it turned out it wasn't, so you've stuffed up. But to say we didn't anticipate the demand is kind of like, really? Like the biggest sporting event in the world that happens only once every 4 years, and you've been shocked by people wanting to watch it?
And all I had to do was email the bloke in the office to say, how many of these have we sold? 472,000. Okay, that means on the opening night we have the potential of 472,000 people logging on. Let's make sure we're equipped for that number.
But they said that it was, a lot of subscriptions, a lot of people signed up late, like the last minute, which to me, of course, why would you, it's like all things, like you don't, you don't go, I'm going
3 months ago.
Yeah, you don't go, you suddenly go, well, it's on tomorrow night, I'll quickly sign up. Why would you sign up? 5 weeks out, I'll sign up. Why would you do that? No one does that. It makes no sense. So, of course, there's going to... So, you kind of have to...
Badly done all round, and they will pay the price in a corporate sense for quite some time, I reckon, Optus.
Well, the real thing is, are they going to be able to... Will the government or anything do something about these online... I mean, partly... This was... I loved how Turnbull came out as Prime Minister and acted like he played a big role in saving the day of getting it back onto SBS. And you're like, mate, you cut the budget of SBS. Well, Abbott did, but you were part of that government. So that's why SBS had to sell it. This is why you need to fund these things because, don't take the credit. It was a mess of your making.
I mean,
plus the NBN is a joke.
Yeah, for the minuscule in the big picture, minuscule amount of money that they needed to retain the World Cup on SBS, I'm more than happy for that to happen because in the past, that's the one thing you knew you could be sure of every 4 years. The World Cup rolls around, I can watch it on SBS.
It's so typical that suddenly the funding to the SBS and the NBN, Australians care about it because they go, hang on, I didn't realise it was going to affect sport.
Yeah, well, I can't watch Tunisia versus Senegal.
This is an outrage. That's what I love about Australia. Everything else we're like, whatever. You won't be able to do all the health record stuff. You won't, whatever. Yeah, Netflix and sport. We suddenly go,
we can't watch the soccer right in the streets until it's done. It's burn the joint down,
So anyway, it's all been wrapped up, which is great. The Australians
But just hang on, just before we let Optus go.
Sure. We'll never let them go, Serge.
But, for the next 48 hours and then it was going to be ongoing for SBS to have all the matches. Yeah. Has there been a final decision on whether SBS have got it right up to
all of them.
Right up to the
They
grand
already
final?
had them all after the group stages, I think,
right.
SBS. But now they said, 48 hours, and then they couldn't get it fixed in that 48 hours, so they eventually just went... have the whole thing. They've refunded anyone that bought it, which I've got to give them credit for because there was a sense they wouldn't. But, that I think they've reacted okay to that part of it. They should have probably done it earlier.
If they'd got the thing right from the day one. But, yeah, to be fair, since they've realised what a shocking debacle it's been, they've backpedalled pretty well. Well, I did see on Twitter, I think it was yesterday morning, there was a massive Optus outage yesterday as well.
Oh, right.
Across the network. And I thought, gee, that's just icing on the cake this week, isn't it?
The Australians drew with Denmark the other night in a... look, it would be fair to say the Socceroos were probably playing better. The problem the Socceroos have is the ability to score goals outside of penalties.
The second half, I mean, the Socceroos, they were well on top of Denmark, there's no question. But in AFL terms, they were getting it inside 50 many, many times, but not scoring. You know, that's been the big problem.
Robbie Cruz absolutely copped it online.
Gee, people don't like your Robbie Cruz, do they? I'm not sure why.
Well, he had quite a few opportunities where he really, he had a shocker of a game, so that wasn't like it was out of nowhere. The coach of the Socceroos has said that not only are they looking at their...
Now, do we like Bert? Are we fans of Bert?
Well, I
think you sort of have to be a bit.
Well, I think he's done a pretty decent job.
Yeah,
they were good against France overall, and then they, you could argue with the VAR, they were unlucky there, and then we got probably a bit lucky in the game against Denmark with the VAR.
Yeah, that's true.
But at the same time, I thought they played really well. So he seems to have them going okay. I mean, the reality is we're a mid to lower level side in the World Cup.
In world soccer, let's be honest.
But I think so. Anyway, he's saying that they're not just looking at various fitness and tactics for us playing Peru, which is we're recording this on Tuesday, so it's midnight tonight. They're also looking at the on-field demeanour and body language
of themselves or the Peruvians.
Of themselves, so that they make sure that they. I always start to worry when coaches start focusing on non-sport related things.
Non-performance.
It's just like we'll get to the Adelaide Crows in a sec.
Yeah, it's like when Ross Lyon says, I don't focus on results. Winning and losing. I mean, that's not the.
That's the only result that really matters. So anyway, it'd be interesting to see. You're gonna stay up or get up at midnight.
It's after midnight, isn't it? The 10 o'clock.
Midnight. The 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock on the first one, then 10 o'clock on the next.
10 o'clock was fine, but midnight's going to be difficult. I might have to hit the deck early and get up at midnight. Knowing full well that I won't.
My problem is my love of sport, which is insane, is almost offset by my love of sleep.
Yeah, that's
so
the danger.
You kind of have to go out drinking, really, if you're going to do this.
And just stay up.
Yeah.
And order a pizza about 11, so it gets there about 11:45. And away you go. I really do want to watch this match tonight. I have my doubts as to whether I'll sit up for it.
I will stay up to watch it, but I'm trying to decide whether I'm just better to go out drinking.
Yeah.
Because sitting at home, it's too tempting.
And the afternoon nap thing is just a bit too nannerish.
I do love an afternoon nap, though. It's one of the
fair.
Craig T wrote, do you think the World Cup would benefit for 4 on-field umpires? Can I go off tap about the AFL umpiring?
Yeah, go.
Why don't I might hold off to the later on rather than do it in the soccer section.
So Craig wants 4 on-field umpires. What have we got now? Just the one.
I think Craig is the head of AFL umpiring.
Maybe to revolutionise the game totally, they could have boundary umpires as well. Get the boundary umpires to toss it in rather than the...
Well, they've got the linesmen, but they don't have enough.
No.
They've only got 2, so that's right. They should have, if anything, the more, you can never have too many umpires.
No.
Anyway, well, I'll save up that rant because I'm ready to go on that. Daniel wrote in, given the large number of free kicks awarded at the World Cup, should the FFA have kept the Socceroos here and sent Hawthorn instead?
Or as long as James Sicily was there, because he wouldn't rub anyone the wrong way.
No. Sean wrote in, can anyone actually prove that Robbie Cruz isn't 2 children standing on each other's shoulders in a trench coat?
I like the fact that Sean's actually even thought of this.
I like the way his mind works.
Now, Robbie Cruz is a very angular kind of sort of physique.
He does look 14.
Yeah, he does. And he has one of those triangular-shaped heads.
The older I get, the more I resent people that look a lot younger than they are.
Oh, exactly. But so Sean's equating Robbie Cruz to a sort of vertical version of, blokes in a horse suit.
Yeah.
of all things in the world, very few things make me laugh more than two blokes in a horse suit.
Really? That's the gear.
That is champagne comedy right there.
nothing makes you laugh more than that. Do I see this in the future when we tour the podcast around?
Absolutely. Or come out in nice three-piece suits and a horse head like blokes do on Cox Play Day.
Big news that came in just late last night was Adam Treloar of Collingwood is looking like being out between 8 to 10 weeks. He tore one hammy right off the bone and seems to have twinged the other one a fair bit and going to have surgery and all sorts of when he went down, I thought, that's either terrible cramp or he's really in trouble because the way he went down and the way he was lying there,
and you could tell he didn't know what was going on.
No, it was very weird injury.
And I was trying to think last night and I couldn't think of one example of when a bloke's done both hammies at the same time.
No, I can't
It's just you can be
because he was sort of arcing his back to get away from the guy, arching his back, trying to get away from the tackler behind him while also bouncing the ball and running at full pace. And it's sort of like...
That's when you ping a hamstring.
He pinged everything. You just obviously...
And geez, I'll tell you what, if it's 8 to 10, that's
pretty much the season.
Finals. And they will miss him, Collingwood.
He's
massively, I reckon.
When they smashed... I mean, I've watched every Collingwood game this year and he's been fantastic, and especially in the Melbourne one where I paid a lot more attention, obviously. He was a big reason why they smashed us, so he's a huge loss for them.
Yeah, he is. He is their run and carry guy. I mean, De Goey is a bit more... he does a bit more bullocking working around the ground. Yeah. But Treloar is your carry at 30, 40 metres every time.
Yeah,
he's a very good player.
They're gonna really miss him.
That'll be a big hole for Collingwood.
Yeah, you never like an injury like that because even all the Collingwood supporters on Twitter being upset, I couldn't even enjoy it.
No.
Usually if it was something, not an injury of this magnitude, it was just something bad had happened at Collingwood. Well, I'd have been thrilled, but instead I actually felt the same way.
Pinged one ham back in 2 or 3, you go, you mate, get over it, everybody does that. But this is a bad one.
I can see why they were so upset because it's that sort of thing. One of the weirdest, on Saturday at 3:30, I think it was 3 o'clock Adelaide time, the Adelaide Football Club announced they were going to be having this big media conference.
Yeah, and that's the time you call one.
And you're thinking, like, there's other footy games on. You're thinking, why this time? And it better be huge news.
Yeah.
Like, are they sacking someone? Has someone died? Like, what's happened? Yeah, it's like it's got to be huge news for that time. Instead, it was to announce that they obviously thought the news couldn't they had to get it out there because it would leak anyway. But they were getting to announce that the group they've hired for the last 2 seasons and who ran their pre-season camp that's been criticised quite a lot, a training company called Collective Mond, that they was sacking them and getting rid of them, basically.
Yeah.
Now, this has been led to that a big part of this problem with their whole season, partly through injuries because of the pre-season, but also a lot of the psychological... Yeah. They did a lot of... We'll get into what they did, but they did a lot of psychological testing, Collective Mond, with them, which divided the player group and left some very unhappy.
Now, you're not inexperienced in this regard.
In psychological torture?
No. Press conferences and when to hold them. Now, normally, what do they call it in politics when they want to just slide out some information but not make, keep it covered, not covered up so much.
Well, there's a few, like one is to do it at a time that is, you're going to miss a lot of things.
Friday night on a long weekend.
Well, Friday afternoon's an obvious one because most people on Friday night don't watch. If you do it late too, if you do it late enough, you miss
the news,
the new TV news, and you've missed early morning talkback because there's not really early morning talkback in the same numbers on Saturday morning. So you do it late on a Friday. Is a good way of sort of dumping out taking out the trash, as they used to say.
So this is what Adelaide have done, pretty much.
Well,
it wasn't that big a story that it couldn't wait.
Look, sometimes what can happen is they've been talking to Collective Minds and the players and all this about what's going to happen, and it got to a point where it was untenable to not let Collective Mind know they were gone, and then you go, well, we either wait till Monday,
which
where there's a real danger of it leaking and all that,
sure.
or we just do it even though it's a terrible time and it makes it look like we're hiding things. Or they could have been just hiding things. But I don't know if they were, because realistically, in Adelaide, anyone who cares will pay attention, which is every Crow supporter.
But the actual press conference itself was a bit of a schmozzle.
Well, the whole thing is when you look into it. So that this group that they got, Collective Mind, they did things like at the Gold Coast training camp before the season, which Don Pike said was a fail, didn't resonate with the group. They were some players were blindfolded and forced to listen to Richmond's club song on a bus trip.
Well, the old version or the new version?
And so that was sort of one of the things they did. The other thing they got all the group to share highly personal details to try and build a closer link, which is like, seriously.
Yeah, really? You're at a footy club,
It's like being at work. I mean, imagine you're at work. And I've been in a work function once years ago where people walk around and go, like, tell us your biggest fear. I'm like, this is my biggest fear.
Speaking to you
lot about personal things. Like, I come to work to get away from this nonsense.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's why does everyone have to share everything? It means less if you're made to share something.
Have you been blindfolded at work?
Yes, but that was more to do with the type of work I was doing at the time.
Yeah, that was Friday night drinks.
At least I think it was. I was blindfolded. Lost track of time. So they sort of did that. Now, some of the players obviously didn't like it. There was a few issues. Some of the Indigenous players took issue with some of the camp practices, which the club conceded. Was a problem. There was an Indigenous artefact was used, a talking stick, and there was some players who were not sure if it was being used in the right way. So apparently they sorted that out relatively early after the camp, and that was okay. But there was a bunch of this other psychological, sort of making people feel uncomfortable and things like that didn't go down well.
For the last month, the word out of Adelaide was, no, the camp was fine.
Well, that was part of the problem.
This whole thing's blown out of all proportion.
This is where they've denied, and then the players I've heard have said, we are not happy with this, and stop saying everything's fine, because it's not. So eventually it sort of came out. So they decided to get away. Now, Pike said that the program had caused differences within the player group, so he actually admitted it. And a lot of players actually left the camp quite distressed because of some of the stuff that, the highly personal stuff they had to tell, and they actually said they don't wanted to be part of this anymore. Now, the interesting thing here is Burton said, who's their football manager, who's been driving a lot of this, he said that a lot of people have been critical of it, but he said this like it was a good thing, not like. But I think he gets that what he's saying is actually worse. He says that Collective Mind was not run by registered psychologists. He said that these guys are not psychologists. They don't profess to be psychologists. They're mental skill coaches.
Which is
now
what?
That's like saying these guys are not doctors. They are wellness experts, and we got them to treat our players' hamstrings.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Qualifications no longer matter. Like these guys are going around just saying, "Oh, we do this," and there's didn't we learn this with this on another way in the sports science thing? Like you don't let people in who aren't doctors. Like you don't let Stephen Dank in. You let doctors do the doctoring.
Yeah,
you let psychologists do the mental
injecting. Get a doctor to do it.
Yeah. Just so I mean, it's just.
And the other thing, I mean, and Brett Burton, I used to love him as a player. But he didn't cover himself in glory the other day because he said at the press conference some of the things that have been put out by the media have just been outrageous about this camp. To which the media were there said, "Okay, well tell us what you did do then."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, I'm not doing that. It's not like I'm going to let you know what we actually did."
I know. Like, so they're not denying any of the things. They've admitted most of the things that the media were accusing them of. So they've actually come out and admitted, like, even though they denied them earlier, they're now going, "Oh, okay, well, that is true."
Yeah.
So I don't know how he can hang on to his position.
The Birdman.
Yeah. I don't. I know it's baffling to me. Like he's basically admitted that this whole season has been run off course through things that they've done. It's amazing to me that it's not. This isn't being taken more seriously.
And shambles of training camp combined with their injury list.
Their horror injury. You look at it,
it's just,
which they also concede is part of the problem of the pre-season that they did.
But see, in a larger scale, what's the problem with these pre-season camps? At least Melbourne refused to go on theirs.
Makes you think maybe that was a... But
they were smart.
There are some that sort of have a proven... Like, you look at the one Melbourne said no to. Craig Bellamy sends the Storm on that all the time.
Yeah.
And you'd be hard to argue that there's a better, result there. So
you talk to any of the Hawthorn blokes, and they reckon a couple of times they've done Kokoda, it's been the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. But I think where a lot of this comes down to, there's doing a team bonding exercise like Kokoda or like some of those, military exercises and that, where they, through physical tasks, they put a lot of strain on you to keep going, right? That to me relates to being on the footy field. But this stuff of, share, your deepest fears or share a really sensitive moment from your life, so we're all bonded closer. Yeah. I mean...
Well, is that going to help you back into a pack or, old style training camp? I mean, if you're, you're talking about doing one at work when you're at work. I mean, bonding sessions at work used to be Friday night at the go-kart track. You get everyone to go to a go-kart track and then get pissed. I mean, and it's the same with the footy clubs. Years ago, I remember being down at Lawn one weekend and see all of Collingwood, they're down there and the oval there, they spent all day training, circle work and lane work and running and there's medicine balls, just fair dinkum footy training all day.
Yeah.
And then everybody, including all the coaching staff, were in the pub that night. And I thought, now that is a footy training camp.
I tell you what, I'd buy a book of your stories of Friday night drinks. that would be there'd be a few there.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
Dean Jacobs wrote in, has Serge engaged his own mental skill coach?
I have. His name's Dr. Jack Daniels.
He's even a doctor. You've gone a step further.
Yeah.
Gavin McDonnell wrote in, what was more traumatic for the Crows players, being blindfolded and driven around the Gold Coast listening to the Richmond song, or going back to Adelaide when it finished?
He's
a man after your own.
I like what you're saying there, Gavin. Why didn't they just leave him on the Gold Coast? It's only 5 months till schoolies.
That would be the most threatening thing,
You've gone through this physical and mental trauma for a week, and then it's back on the bus, boys.
Yeah.
It's back to Glenelg.
Jeremy Cameron on the weekend.
Looking forward to seeing
what happens tonight. Going to the Tribunal tonight. It was a marking contest, but as he went in, Harris Andrews from Brisbane was sort of coming one way and Cameron was going the other way, all going for the ball in a way, until Jeremy Cameron sort of didn't go for the ball and landed a flying elbow Tito Santana-esque from old WWF days and absolutely clocked Andrews. Andrews later on had to go to hospital. At first, they thought it wasn't the end of the world, but then he got a bit... He wasn't going well and he went to hospital. Saturday night. Went to hospital. Found out he had bleeding on the brain.
Never a good thing.
No, you never want that in any context, really. No. And the good news seems to be he's going to be under observation for a while and he's got a bunch of other stuff he has to go through, but he's heavily concussed as well. But it seems like they're saying he's going to make a full recovery.
And maybe only 2 or 3 weeks off, which would be... Not a bad result when you look at the incident. It could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Now, Cameron afterwards said a few things that were weird. One, he said he definitely wasn't trying to hurt Andrews. Now, you look at it and go, mate, I don't know how you can... The second thing he said, I go hard at the ball, I play the ball. And I was like, mate, Harris Andrews, his head doesn't look like a footy.
He was running with the flight of the ball. Cameron's coming at full pelt the other way. Now, you don't have to have played football at the highest level to know that when you're coming to a collision like that, you can hit it a number of ways.
But with a raised elbow like that.
Yeah, but that's my point. You can either keep your hands up and go for the mark, even though you're probably not going to take it.
No.
You can try and fist the ball away, but he put up his left elbow and collected him absolutely at full pace going both ways. There's no excuse for it. It's a shocking.
Cameron has a terrible record.
Yeah, he's been reported a million times.
Yeah, so it's like someone was saying this to me the other day. I was talking to them about it, and they go, I hadn't realised how bad Cameron's record was.
I had no idea
They
either.
sort of thought of him as this clean player, and you look at it, it's like, no, he's got a terrible record.
Well, I saw his record and I thought, geez, that's actually reasonably impressive given the fact that GWS hasn't even been around that long. It's not a bad record for a 20-year career.
Well, how long? So, there was a few people defending it, but a lot of people weren't. I fall into the thing is, I don't think you can defend it now. Realistically, I think Andrew's going to be out probably a month.
Yeah.
So you'd have to say Cameron's got to get at least 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Would be the minimum, wouldn't it?
So I reckon 4 sounds a bit light to me, especially when they gave Tom Buggs 6 last year. Now, it was a completely different thing. Buggs was just a straight-out punch to the face.
Well, and nowhere near play and a bunch of things going into it.
But it wasn't Buggs, in his defence slightly, it wasn't from behind. They were sort of half facing each other.
Yeah, but it was still
if you're going to give Buggs 6 for that, I reckon you've got to give Cameron at least 6 for this.
Well, I
Any
think
more than 6 is probably sounding a bit heavy, but 4 I reckon sounds a bit light.
I think he'll get 5 or 6, and I think it probably at least with his record has to be a 6. And I think the things that are going to kill him is it looks nothing like it's his argument. If they run out a similar argument to what he said in the media, which was I was going for the ball, I think he's just going to get crucified by the tribunal. I think his record's going to count heavily against him, and I think the bleeding on the brain and the medical report and the heavy concussion and all that means the AFL has to send an incredibly. So I could see it I can see it being 7 weeks. I can honestly see it. And
the fact that Michael Christian, he could have come out and said it was careless or whatever, and medium impact, which would have been ludicrous. But he could have. It wouldn't have been a great shock if they had. But he came out and said it was intentional and the impact was severe. Yeah. So that tells me that the book is being thrown from a long way back. Yeah. Even though it's going to do no great favours to GWS's season, and the AFL won't like that. But
I don't really believe the AFL that I don't believe the conspiracy.
They're not going to manoeuvre it just to make GWS better.
No, they're not.
Not in this regard.
Not in this regard, and. It's with all the injuries GWS has, he's let the club down massively because that really could be the difference between he was playing well. Could be the difference between them making finals or not now.
So this is the thing. I remember asking somebody involved at clubs a few years back, when a player gets suspended, do they still get paid? Do they still get their match payments?
Mm.
And apparently it's different in most clubs. They still get their base salary, but often they miss some match payments on top of that.
Yeah.
But if he misses 6 weeks. That's probably $100,000 fine like to him if he was to lose his salary. Not that probably.
Yeah, the other thing was interesting is as I was watching it, he didn't seem to show enormous care at the time to the guy on the ground, and then afterwards in his interview afterwards, there wasn't a lot of remorse.
No,
it was like, I was playing the ball, I go hard.
Yeah, it's part of the game.
And I was kind of like, it was
mate, you got to do better than that.
And it's bad when even in proper speed, not slowed down, but you're like, wow, that's bad.
I did like an hour later when Brisbane's Mitch Robinson, who wasn't playing, who was a notorious hardhead, hothead at the best of times, just simply said, geez, I wish I'd been out there.
Yeah, he tweeted that out.
And, I look forward to this game next time they play each other.
Oh, yeah. Dread Pirate Roberts wrote in, how many weeks should
Harris... I haven't heard from Dread for a while.
How many weeks should Harris Andrews get for staging? Too soon?
Well, as we know, one of the side effects of staging is bleeding on the brain.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, a pretty brutal outcome there. So I think it'll be interesting to see what he gets. But I reckon something around 6 is going to be.
I
think anything less than 6 is going to actually get people saying
there'll be an outcry.
Yeah. You're right. If Bug got 6,
this has got to be 6.
It's got to be pretty close to it. Nick Kyrgios. I haven't had Nick in
He's actually been playing reasonable tennis lately. But But that's not why we...
No, but that's not why we follow
Nick for his tennis.
Nick had a few on-court antics that actually forced the BBC into an on-air apology during the Queen's Club Championship recently as a precursor to Wimbledon. He was pictured simulating a sex act with his water bottle during a change of ends.
Did you see this?
Yeah, I've seen the
so
footage. He concluded his act by spraying water from the bottle onto the court before smiling at someone in his player's box. Now, he just is...
I'm just saying, we're not going to describe the act, but put two and two together.
I think everyone knows what we're saying.
Yeah.
The thing about this is Nick reminds me of some of the guys I went to school with, but like when they were 15. They're not like that now.
No.
But it's stuff that a 15-year-old would go, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
And he does it
and he's still doing it.
He's still doing it. It's just... I guess some people that's kind of where their maturity and humour stops. Like
he never grew up.
That's as funny as it gets.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing funnier. So anyway... he
copped a whack over the knuckles, didn't he, for it?
Yeah.
$23,000 fine.
Something like that, yeah. The stuff he does is just baffling.
Yeah.
It really is.
He's been actually playing pretty good tennis lately. And watching what he did with this water bottle, A, it wasn't all that funny or clever, but B, that's your classic, mate, just let your tennis do the talking, perhaps, you know? Leave the mime acts and the comedy to someone else.
Story there on Sun today or online, Steve Smith pictured in New York having a beer by himself. This was a news story.
It was.
Huge story. Imagine if they reported every time you were in a pub by yourself having a beer.
Having a beer on his own, you know. Look, firstly, I think we have to get away from this stigma of drinking alone. That's the first thing we have to, you know.
But seriously, I actually, there's nothing I sometimes like more than just going to a pub by myself, watching the footy or whatever, especially, but also, like, because you can just sort of relax, you know, and it's...
No
but the thing
banter, no chat.
But especially, there's nothing better. Like, sometimes you just want to get out of the house, but also, he's in New York. What's he meant to do? Sit in the hotel room all day?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they said, sad Steve Smith. He looked sad or lonely, they said. Mate, just because you're at the pub by yourself drinking a beer, you could be the opposite of lonely. You could be the opposite of sad. This could be...
There's a New York dive bar. And which I've been to plenty of them, and they're some of the best bars you've ever been to in your life. But the implication was that after all the dramas of the ball tampering and what have you, this is Steve Smith. He's hit rock bottom.
I know,
that was the implication.
And he was just having a beer in a bar. Like he's in New York,
a schooner in a great New York bar, and who hasn't been in a foreign city or whatever?
Yeah,
and I'm here on my own. Feel like a bit
go out and see the bar.
Let's just go and have a beer.
That's right. Like you're not. What are you going to do? Sit in your hotel room? They're all the same. Go out, and that's what everyone does. So it's like
you're in the greatest city in the world.
Man has normal experience. Should have been the headline.
And you know, but it's like it should be #Are you okay? And look, as I say, this stigma of drinking alone. I know plenty of women who reckon technically it's not drinking alone when the kids are around.
I think they're spot on.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you get through anything without, you know.
This is, you know.
I mean, I'll probably be
at the pub. This is one of the great beat-ups of all time.
I'll probably be at the pub by myself within the hour.
Oh, exactly. From now on, I'm just going to call it doing a Steve Smith.
In more serious news, and actually, we like to joke around about things, but here on the Variety, but obviously this is not something to joke about. It's a national tragedy. Michael Slater's been named to the new Channel 7 commentary team. How did this happen?
Okay, on that point, everyone listening, go to a bar now and drink on your own.
I felt this happened that was announced the day Melbourne lost to Port.
Yeah.
So it was one of the worst days I've had in a long time. I
saw it on Twitter and I first thought it was a gag. I thought does this have Titus O'Reilly written above it? And I thought, no, this is fair dinkum.
I thought
come on,
they'd hired Ponting, they'd hired Fleming, and I'm thinking they're doing so well. They haven't gone and got all the deadwood from 9. They're building a new team with some of the best from the BBL, and there's some other ones out there that they were looking at, and I'm thinking, finally they're putting together a good commentary team.
And it's not like...
and Warney was off to Fox, so I knew they weren't going to get Warney because him and Ponting hate each other and, so it was all going well.
Yeah.
And then Michael Slater.
Here comes Slats to 7.
I mean...
What's next to Ian Healy? Do you reckon they'll get Heels?
Oh, Healy, I mean...
Surely they couldn't.
That Channel 9 commentary team was, by the end, truly unlistenable. It was horrendous. Like, there's...
And everyone in Australia knew it except Channel 9. Purely they didn't care.
But they think it's like the Channel 7 Friday night team of BT and all that. And you listen to that and you go, who thinks this is good?
Yeah.
Like, it's just horrendess.
I mean, this is where the
Cameron Ling and BT...
the sports commentary has dropped. Because I remember, and we always go back... To the icons like Bruce McAvaney and what have you, who's still at 7, of course.
Yeah,
it must drive him nuts sometimes to have to watch a Friday night game and half those commentators, they don't even know who the players are. And I know commentators going back not even that long ago, that is the one thing they used to pride themselves on.
Yeah.
I mean, you used to see...
BT got the stadium wrong last week. He did. He said the MCG. He said, you're here at the MCG. And I'm like, we're at the SCG.
Yeah.
And then he got...
Easy mistake.
All through, he kept getting...
City wrong.
He kept getting all these other players. He was just using them interchangeably. Like, they all, shared the same name or something. And you're just like, mate, at least try and get it right. And then you know what BT's like? He's like, when a kid... 6-year-old says a joke and it gets a laugh. Yeah. So they just keep saying that joke over and over again, to the point where everyone goes, it got a laugh first time, mate, but, get some new material if you're going to keep... BT is like that. He'll say player's name funnily once.
Fantasia, and he still does it.
And then I'll do that every single time and I'll just keep amping it up. And you're like, no, we've got it.
And as I keep harping about it, but the lack of professionalism of not knowing the players. I remember going to the footy with Steve Quartermain years ago when he was calling for Channel 10. We got to lift him with him. And he had all the players, both sides, typed out on a sheet. And he was driving and he'd say, hit me with a number. And he'd go, Port Adelaide 34. And he'd go, Dominic Cassisi. I don't know if that's right or not. But... good commenters, they pride themselves on this sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the mid-level, that's the basic...
that's the bare minimum thing. You've got to know the players instantaneously. But now half of them don't even care.
And the thing I don't get is, they've got BT and Basil and Lingy and all these. I mean, Jimmy Bartell and Daisy Pearce make... Lingy redundant. They're just showing up the rest of them every single time. And then I'm like, well, why don't you get... Of the people out there who are Stephen Quartermain's just finished up reading the news on Channel 10. Yeah. He's right there.
Yeah.
He's right there, Channel 7. Just hire him. How hard is it?
Yeah.
You desperately need a better... everyone knows this. You need better play-by-play caller. He can host. He can... commentate, he can call, he does everything that they need.
You get Quarters and, say, Jason Bennett, who of course is not a big name, but is a very, very effective caller.
I think the best out there, Anthony Hudson and Quarters, and then I look at someone like Sarah Jones on Fox Footy, who's the best presenter, I think, out there at the moment. Yeah. And you're looking at these and go, well, Fox Footy wouldn't want to probably let her go because she's so good. But you're looking at there's good people out there.
There is.
So you just look at it and go, how have they managed to pull these people all together?
They just don't care. And again, it's like with the cricket commentary. There is a vast array of very competent, entertaining, good commentators.
Well, Triple M showed that when they put together their team.
You could put together a fantastic commentary team. But they just don't seem to bother or care. Especially, Slats involved.
So anyway,
Slats
that's
and Heels.
Very sad name. Let's hope that we don't... Let's hope there's a bunch of others that don't get the gig.
And of course, the other thing just on that is that Channel 9 are now doing the tennis this coming summer.
Yeah, they bought the rights a year early.
It was going to be the year later, but so they don't have to worry about
Seven didn't want to have to show both.
Yeah.
So there you go. Greg Norman got his gear off this week for the ESPN body issue. He's 63 years old. it was interesting to see the photos. They got quite a reaction. Now, for a 63-year-old, we will say this. So he's completely stark, it's just with a golf club, which got a lot of wood jokes.
Yeah, he was wearing a glove and holding a wood. Yeah.
So he says he prides himself in top physical shape, and it would be fair to say he's in better shape at 63 than I've ever been in my life.
Oh, he's in good nick. There's no question.
So there's no question about that. He said that one of the reasons that he's in such good shape is he exercises 5 days a week for at least 2 hours a day.
That's 10 hours of working out in the gym.
No wonder he looks good.
Oh,
he's got the money to be able to do that.
If he works out that often, he should look better. I don't think that's very good at all for 10 hours a
week. He said, I walk around naked at home. It's not a big deal to me, right? At the end of the day, I do enjoy keeping fit at my age. Now, it's a bit different.
I reckon there's a few mirrors in the Norman household. I reckon. Oh.
Also, walking around naked at home is a lot different to getting your photo taken and put in a magazine.
True.
You know?
Yeah, even I say that.
Even at home, when I'm naked, I feel shame. Even when I'm alone. Snert Underpant wrote, why does Greg Norman at 63 get a bucket load of cash for getting his kid off on the Gold Coast and I get a $1,000 fine and my club membership cancelled?
Oh, because he's the shark and you're Snert, I suggest.
Aaron Waite said, we should be sending the T-shirt to Greg Norman and some shorts.
Yeah, that's a very good idea, Aaron. The only thing on these photos, I'm now waiting for the John Daly and Craig Parry of editions of Sports Illustrated body shoe.
Anyway, good old Greg. Self-awareness isn't Greg's thing.
No. Because remember last year he got the gear off when he skinny dipped when he was out on one of his horse riding.
Yeah, that's right. And he said his wife took that photo.
And that's fine.
He just happened to post it to his Instagram
account.
Exactly.
It's fine if you're in the middle of nowhere and you go, I'll skinny dip in the local river. You don't have to tweet the photo out to 8
Greg
million
Norman's
people.
one of those guys, though, that just gets his top off the minute, even, I was going to say the minute, like, it's sort of acceptable to do so, but he doesn't even wait for that. You know the guys you'll see just wandering down the street, like, Sunday morning?
Yeah.
And they've got their top off, and you're like, really?
Norman would have, if he'd been allowed to, he would have taken his top off walking down the 18th at St Andrews when he won the British Open.
We've had a couple of great stories come in this week.
Yeah.
One, this is a World Cup story.
Yep.
Burger King in Russia has had to apologise because they offered a lifetime supply of Whopper burgers to any Russian women who got pregnant to World Cup players. Now, what an incentive.
I just want to know, who was sitting around the Burger King marketing team going, got an idea, World Cup, it's at home.
You'd get 3 million rubles as well as the lifetime of Whoppers if you got, which is about $64,000. So it's not that much, but a lifetime supply of Whoppers means your life is not going to be that long. It's a short lifetime.
A lot of Whoppers, yeah.
Critics called the ad demeaning
to World Cup players. I know everyone, well, maybe just me, occasionally gets emails from Russian women.
Yeah.
And there's some fairly tidy ones over there, but I'm suspecting that's probably not who they were aimed at.
Yeah, you know they're not real, though. I've told you to stop sending the money.
Are they bots? Is that what they call bots these days?
Now, just to give you an idea that Burger King in Russia's sort of got a bit of form here, they also included in a previous ad a likeness of an alleged rape victim in its advertising, because nothing says, buy me a Whopper more than that. I mean, these guys have got a bit of form, I'd say.
They're needing a new ad agency on tipping Burger King over there.
Anyway, it blew up on the social media stuff, and Burger King, sort of the parent body in America, came out and said that this is not okay. Now, the promise of free burgers in the ad said it was to get the best football genes and ensure the success of the Russian teams for generations to come. Now, I'm all for breeding programs when it comes to professional sport. I've long said that, but this was a bit. They then Burger King said, "We're sorry about the clearly offensive promotion that the team in Russia launched online. They said, and this is just such a boilerplate response to these things. It does not reflect our brand or our values, and we are taking steps to ensure this type of activity does not happen again. Well, that means sacking several people.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like that how they have to say. I like how they point out it doesn't reflect our brands or our values.
But the 3 million rubles and a lifetime supply of whoppers, I think in the fine print, you were going to get twice as much if it was Daniel Ozami because he's only 17.
Right. So that's another one. That's been because at the same time. We talked about last time that there'd been some bans, attempted bans by the government over there to stop Russian women sleeping with World Cup fans.
So, on one hand, they don't say to the fans, don't do it. But now the Burger King saying, do it.
But only with the players.
Only with the players, not the fans. Because, let's be honest, who would want to sleep with a World Cup fan? Have you seen most of them getting around?
We're World Cup fans and we know no one would want to sleep with us.
Well, the fanatics don't do that. Well, it doesn't matter what sport they go to.
In Philadelphia at the baseball, a fan was injured when the mascot's the Philly Fanatics flying hot dog, which is a gun he shoots, hit her in the face.
Yeah, they've got a hot dog.
They've got a hot dog gun. Now, it's a big green mascot, the Philly Fanatic, if you haven't seen it. Sort of looks like a giant Muppet kind of type thing. And he came out with a hot dog launcher. Now, this is interesting because We've been quite against Victoria Police banning T-shirt guns.
We've been campaigning for some time for a T-shirt cannon.
And he was about to launch. He comes out with a hot dog launcher to launch into the stands. Now, Kathy McVeigh was seated behind home plate when the Fanatics started shooting hot dogs into the crowd. When suddenly one was heading straight for her head. He said, and the next thing I know, he shot in our direction and bam, and hit me like a ton of bricks. My glasses flew.
Mix of metaphors.
This is my best bit. The hot dogs were wrapped in duct tape so they wouldn't fall asleep mid-air. So they're sort of just these hard pellets. That's the real problem. It's not like it's not a T-shirt.
So there's a hot dog in a bun,
but wrapped in like
gaffer tape and fired at high speed. Yeah, I could see they could do some damage.
McVeigh said that she couldn't catch the hot dog or knock it out of the air because of a shoulder injury that she's having surgery on next week. So the ballpark snack drilled her right in the face.
I feel a Slater and Gordon coming on.
She went to the emergency room that night for a CAT scan and has multiple bruises on her face. She says she's got a small hematoma in her eye and mostly it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to go down the side of my face. The Fanatic naturally felt terrible about what happened.
I bet he did.
And the team reached out to her on Tuesday to apologise. They even offered her tickets to another game in the future.
But maybe not seated behind home plate.
She's a massive fan of the Phillies, though, McVeigh, and said she doesn't plan to pursue any legal action. Well, that's good, just because she's a fan. And while it was the first time a fan was injured by a flying hot dog in Philadelphia, it's not completely unheard of. A man in Kansas City lost a lawsuit against the Royals, which is a baseball team, after he was hit in the face by a hot dog thrown from Slugger. Slugger was spelt with 3 R's at the end. The Royals mascot in 2009. The man suffered a detached retina and was sued them for negligence, although a jury found neither him nor the Royals at fault in 2015.
Well, who was at fault? Slugger. It was purely Slugger's fault.
Sometimes bad things happen. McVeigh said, while she understands that her injury is rather unusual and comical, she still has advice to give others. She still warns other fans in the stands to be careful.
So what are your thoughts on firing food into the crowd?
I'll tell you what, when I was in New York, drinking beer by myself in a pub. Last time I was in New York, I managed to stagger my trip to be completely built around sport, right? So I went to Stanley Cup and I went to about 3 or 4 Mets games and I went to about 10 Yankee games, right? Yeah. So I just lived at Yankee Stadium amongst
other things. How good is Yankee Stadium?
Well, this was just after the new one and just opened.
I haven't seen the new one.
So no, I loved it. It was great. I was just going every night and there was the Subway Series against the Mets and all this, right? The way the ball, because I was just, because it was sort of a trip of a lifetime sort of thing, I'd spent good money to have like really good seats. So I was sort of behind home plate and there was the mesh there so you can't really get hit. So, but watching the foul, so forget hot dogs and T-shirts and stuff, watching the foul balls at a baseball game live go off into the crowd there were people dropping like flies around me. Like, seriously, not just...
I agree.
Like, the ones that go right far out, they're not too bad, but there's some that just spin off the bat, and if you're just sitting down the baseline just past where the net stops, there's a net sort of right behind the plate, those were just pinging into the crowd at one, not every game, but at one game I remember for some reason just pinging into things.
It's dangerous.
And several people got hit to the point where medics were there treating them, and I'm just sitting there going, wow, this is... So it's not for the faint-hearted. Like,
no, it's not. And you know, baseball, I mean, it's about the same size and weight as a cricket ball. And going, you know, 90 Ks or 100 Ks an hour.
When they come off the bats, they're just, you know, so it's a... Yeah,
I'll tell you one of the other
baseball's not a sport where you don't want to be paying a lot of attention at. Like, there's certain sports where, like, footy's fine and, you know, and... I mean, even ice hockey, I went to the ice hockey, like a puck can go over the thing, but because of the glass, it's a bit harder and stuff. But, yeah, the baseball, you want to be paying a lot of attention to.
Do you reckon the AFL will ever introduce pie cannons? Wouldn't that just be a recipe
I just have
for
this
disaster?
image of it just breaking apart mid-air and just splattering the crowd with gravy and meat.
And people always say, it's too hot on the outside and it's cold in the middle.
Yeah, just a block of ice hitting someone. So anyway, quite amazing stuff. We should mention, we've got to just get into a list of questions. One's about the rugby leagues. The State of Origin was on Sunday night, and the New South Wales actually won a State of Origin series.
You know what? New South Wales, they finally proved they can win away from the MCG.
Well, they also, like, just shows you without, like, Cam Smith and Thurston and a bunch of others all, and Cooper Cronk and all that retiring. Queensland lost.
They struggled.
A lot.
It was a good game the other night, I've got to say.
It was very entertaining to watch. Andrew Byrne wrote in, could Sergio explain the rules of the rugby league scrum?
I looked this up for you, Andrew, surprisingly enough. And you know, it comes from the word scrummage, which is not dissimilar to scrimmage, which that they use in American football.
Yes.
And it's sort of... The way you assume it probably came about, you're probably right, is it was originally created simply to bring the ball back into play in a certain fashion, to be fair to both clubs. You know, to have, you know, both sides to go head to head and throw the ball in the middle and have it kicked out. Whoever's team the strongest, pushing back and forth, will get it. But now, of course, it's just been destroyed like every other.
Well, they're not.
Great thing.
In rugby union, scrums are contested. So the ball is fed in. It's meant to be fed in down the middle. Yeah. And then both sides.
They still do it at union in a contested
and both sides push to try and win that ball. League, early on, because there's a lot less players, they decided to have They don't pretend to contest them.
Yeah, it's just purely for show.
Well, it's not just for show. The reason they have it...
Who's explaining this, you or me?
Well...
you obviously didn't know it correctly.
Well, every football sport that originated out of rugby, soccer, etc., the big decision point all of them have is what happens when a player gets tackled. Yeah. Right? So in American football, it ends the play, they separate, and they have another go. In rugby league, the minute you're tackled... Because it used to be if everyone dived in and just one player held on and everyone else just held them, how do you get the ball out of there, right? Yeah, because it becomes...
Looks like AFL.
It looks horrible to watch. So in AFL, it's you get tackled, you got to release the ball. Yeah. That's the decision they made to keep play moving. In American football, it's the play stops. Yeah. The players both go back and then reset and start again. In rugby union, it's a contested... You got to release the ball.
It keeps going
you do have to release the ball. But the players come in and they contest the tackle to form a ruck. So that's what happens in league. It's you get tackled. Once you're tackled, you get up and you play the ball back.
And away you
now,
go.
Scrums was another way of doing it. Now, the idea with scrums is often occurs after a penalty or certain points, depending on league or union, is as well as it being contested, the thing it does and why they keep it in league is... Yes, it's not the point is to contest it. So whoever feeds the ball in. So if New South Wales have the scrum feed, they're going to win the scrum because it's not a contested and it's not meant to be. Yeah. What all those players linked with their arms together facing off against the other, what it does though, and the reason they don't get rid of it, even though it's not contested, is it makes all the forwards be in the one area and opens up the field for the backs. So it creates a wonderful attacking position for the team that got the penalty.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So that's why they keep it. So that's the purpose of a rugby league scrum. The purpose isn't a contest. It's to lock up the opposition's forwards and open up the field so that basically the two back lines have a go at each other.
So the AFL going to introduce the scrum now to open things up to
Well, this is where the AFL struggle around like prior opportunity, holding the ball, you know, and where they say, well, let's get rid of prior opportunity. That's this age-old debate that goes back to what happens when a player gets tackled is at the heart of the differences of every sport.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is one thing the AFL, they toss around every year. And it's not like they can never necessarily get it right, but every time they make some little tweak to it.
Yeah. Well, they're constantly tinkering with it.
Yeah,
the association football /soccer/football, whatever you want to call it, their decision was you can't pick up the ball.
Mm.
So that dealt with that issue that way.
Yeah.
And these were the debates they all had.
Yeah.
Like these are how these sports all came out. Rugby union, which is far less clean because it's a competitor, it can be a big mess on the ground. The reason they didn't Victorian rules becoming the Australian rules, American football, these other sports, league as well, they all said, well, that looks too messy and it's not good for spectators. So if we want to have people come and watch us,
we need to open up
play, make it more free-flowing, make it cleaner. So hence what league have done and what AFL have done and what American football have done and soccer too with the fact you can't pick the ball up, so it negates that problem. Union, because they were all being played by people who were rich and were self-funded and didn't need big crowds in the same way, never had to address the issue until more recently, and now they're debating that issue a lot more. So, anyway, that's a very long answer to Serge. Well explained, Serge.
Thanks for that.
Alicia wrote in, Titus, how can we sleep at night knowing Collingwood are in the top 4? Does this mean Bucks can actually coach?
It's a good question.
Well, Alicia's spot on because I can't sleep. This is terrifying to me.
Look,
Collingwood's run home is not amazing.
I may not have been paying attention that well the last few weeks, but it seems to me they've gone from 16th to 4th in a week, Collingwood.
Well, Collingwood have been... Against Carlton, they were only okay. But they did enough. On the G, they play the G as well as anyone. And you look at this year, well, who's the... If you look at the top 8 as it stands, Hawthorn are on the outside, you could argue could get in. Yeah. GWS a possibility on the outside, but with Cameron looking less likely.
They'll struggle, GWS, to get there.
So Hawthorn are a chance. Now, if you look at the top 8, who are the ones that are dead set certain you think they could win the premiership? Now, the Eagles, with a few of their injuries to their forwards, have looked not good the last few weeks.
Yeah.
The Crows... the Crows and the Giants, who you would have thought would have made the 8, made up the 8, won't even make the 8.
Yeah.
So you've got North in there.
You got Melbourne in there. Question marks over both of them in terms of winning a premiership. You look at Richmond. Richmond have been good at the G, but not hitting their straps. They haven't done much wrong. There's been no premiership hangover that we can see.
I would say, if I had to say who are the form sides, you'd say it's Richmond and the Swans at the moment. And even Richmond, you'd say, haven't been amazing. But they've been good at the G, and look, you don't peak now.
They've won what
so when you're looking at who could win, and so Collingwood to me, I was starting to think, given all the finals are pretty much at the G, they're an outside smoky chance.
Oh, I reckon
the Treloar injuries made me rethink that a little, but
because I don't think there's still got a couple of good players to come back, like Jamie Elliott and what have you, but I don't think, or not off the top of the head, can I see an obvious replacement for Treloar waiting in the wings at Collingwood.
Well, you don't play. I mean, that's the thing. You don't replace a Treloar easily, do you?
Yeah,
because he's one of their great players.
Yeah, there's only one of him, and
it's like Melbourne aren't replacing Lever at the moment. They're struggling.
I might want to think about it at some point.
Well, but they don't have anyone. I mean, this is the thing. Like, if they had a defender as good as him just sitting on the bench...
That's why they went and got him, is because they didn't have a Jake Lever.
So I'm just looking at him going, right now, there's no one you'd want to bet your house on winning the premiership, is there? And Collingwood, I sort of thought, were just starting to nudge into that. I didn't think they wouldn't have been my number one tip, but you start to go, you could make an argument, they're playing well on the G.
Well, I think the AFL are already sitting back going, tell you what, don't mind the fact that Collingwood are going to make the finals this year, as far as, ticket sales and all that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, they'd be thrilled.
Yeah. Can you imagine a Richmond Collingwood grand final? Yeah, it'd be the clash of Victorian Titans and it'd be just massive.
So anyway, it'd be, or even just a prelim or something, or any
Richmond,
final between those two would be huge.
You couldn't barrack for either side, could you?
Oh no. This is why I can't. When people say, "Oh, do you always barrack for the Victorian side over an interstate side?" I'm like, any policy that would make me barrack for like Collingwood or Essendon is a bad policy.
Richmond or Carlton or something,
I hate all teams.
I've barracked for Port.
I hate all teams, including my own.
Especially your own.
My own have caused me. So Alicia, you're spot on. Doesn't mean Bucks can actually coach. Well, who knows? This is the thing. I mean, this is the thing I say about Hardwick. Hardwick taught us all that,
just hang in there,
Well, I'm starting to think, and I don't know if unless your coach is like a Mark Neild, who's obviously just doing damage.
Yeah. They just
outright damage to your club. Have clubs in the past just knee jerk too much and got rid of, like, you look at Alan Richardson now. Well, have they just had you throw him out right away now, or do you or just by chopping and changing all the time, you actually cause more issues than it's actually worth? And that most coaches are just sort of like pretty good or decent enough.
So most of them are probably when you look at it that way. They're all with the exception of Mark Neild, are pretty good. I mean, it's not beyond the realms that in 2 years' time he'll be saying, Brendan Bolton, he's proven him. He is a gun coach.
Well, that's right. Like, so that's where I'm less like, I used to love more than anyone calling for a coach to be sacked.
Yeah.
We all do. But I'm a bit, since the Hardwick thing has been interesting, you started a little bit more like, maybe I always think I'm possibly wrong because I usually am, but that especially kind of makes you a bit thing. I think a coach has to be really like losing players or players and just not developing at all for you to go.
Yeah, once it's an.
You look at how much has Bolton got to clean up? Like, he's got to clean up 20 years of ineptitude.
Yeah, and the fact is, as much as they've struggled this year, Carlton, at no point has it appeared from the outside to idiots like us that Brendan Bolton has lost the players at any stage.
No, he doesn't, and he's not doing that looking like a broken man at a press conference.
No.
I mean, he's looked annoyed at times and stuff, but you would be. But so anyway, I just think if Buckley manages to pull this off, you kind of look at that. The thing that's different with Collingwood is Richmond inherited. Hardwick inherited, and even Brendan Gale said they're a shocking team. Gale said that about Hardwick, right? And that's why they decided to keep giving him chances, because they could see the size of the task, and they thought that that's what they said. Now, Buckley, you argue, inherited a team that had 2 years before won a premiership as one of the youngest premiership sides ever, had made the grand final the year before, and then he steadily took them down, and now they're coming back up. But you kind of go, it's a bit of a different case.
Well, it is, he did inherit a better team. He has gutted it and sort of rebuilt it a bit with some draft picks. And they have got good players from other clubs like Treloar.
And so I'm not saying they haven't done the rebuild well. The question you have is, did they need to rebuild?
Yeah.
Like, he got in his head, we have to change this. Now, this is the thing. The problem we have and he has is, who will ever know?
Well, that's right.
Because it didn't happen. You never know. So did they leave? You could make an argument, they probably would have won another premiership. Now, Dane Swan thinks very much they would have probably won a premiership in the next couple of years if they hadn't have changed from Mick.
Yeah.
But others would say, they did need to turn him over. So anyway, who knows? Jared Wilson wrote in, on a scale of 1 to Phil Gould discussing the New South Wales Blues, how much favouritism is shown in the free kick count at West Coast Eagles home games?
Oh, Jared, he's mixed a few things up in there, hasn't he?
Well, Phil Gould is known for being ridiculously one-sided.
I like that scale.
The West Coast lost on the weekend, even though the umpires gave them every possible chance.
Okay, rant about umpires.
So the umpiring... I thought the umpiring in the Eagles game was horrendous.
Yeah, it was.
Then the Melbourne Port game I thought was horrendous, and I thought it went against Melbourne, but I admit my full bias here. But I thought there was a few marks paid to the support that weren't paid to Melbourne. That and then watching the four umpires, I just thought the whole round.
Yeah.
I watched every game, and I don't know whether I just noticed it more, but I thought the umpiring was appalling. And I think
generally
in fairness,
speaking, across all games.
Across all games.
Yeah.
And I thought the home field advantage thing is huge. So Port got it and West Coast got it. But then at the same time, I think, well, that's harder to deal with. The move to the trialling the 4 umpires, because our game is so interpretation based, just gave us 4 different interpretations.
It just throws another interpretation into the mix.
Oh, it's like I say, well, umpires are like wellness experts. Less is more.
Yeah.
Adding more does no one any favours.
They're not pretending to be psychologists.
I just thought the decision making of whether a mark was a mark, of holding the ball, of, a whole bunch of things. I thought they made a lot more decisions, and some of the stats bore that out. I thought there was just more umpiring. Yeah. And I think sometimes, the borderline ones, they're better to be let go. There was a few bits where there was incidents where one player or one umpire was awarded play on for advantage, and then the other umpire called it back, even though the ball had gone on to advantage.
You just
go, well, what's the point? But it was happening even more because there was 4.
Well, that's what I mean. You see a bit of that on the TV too, when they say, this umpire didn't pay the mark. Oh, hang on, the umpire who was on the other side of the play, who had a different angle, has just paid the in the back or something. Well, who's calling it?
Yeah, and I know people say, we want to get it as right as possible, and I know the aim of it all. But sometimes I just think, just let it go. The game was fine getting, rarely do games actually get totally decided by the umpires.
Yeah.
But I would prefer to err on less calls rather than more. I would prefer to let some things go and people go, that should have been a push in the back there, than to go, what they seem to be doing now is, to push in the back up this end of the ground, but because we're 3 umpires away up the other umpire it is or it isn't, that's what it just drove me mad. It's where the game's at the moment. They're just,
and again, it's simple.
It's just over-engineering every little thing.
The more umpires you've got, the more frees you're going to get, and that isn't necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. Well, it's also it's such an interpretation-based thing. So there you go. You suddenly have all these Anyway, I just thought it was a terrible week. I know it's easy to blame the umpires. I see the umpires more I don't blame the umpires completely. I think it's like being a call centre operator, right? Mm. You're getting the flack. If you were an Optus call centre operator, you're the one getting yelled at. You didn't build the system.
Don't talk about the back end.
It's not it's not your fault. Yeah. You're just the one that cops the heat, right? Yeah. And I think with umpires, they're asked to do, all 4 are thrown in. They're all asked to interpret every event, and they change the interpretation and they make it very unclear.
Well, they change the rules on the run. Which,
so I don't know how.
Hard enough for spectators and players.
Yeah, so in fairness to the umpires, I don't know how they even get it as right as they do. But I just thought it was over the last fortnight. I think that 4 umpires have been a train wreck. Peter Bartlett wrote in, who was more reluctant to say sorry, Phil Mickelson or John Howard? Mickelson has not been too apologetic.
He wasn't too forthcoming, was he? It was only about after 3 days of everyone in the world, including his fellow professionals, saying that he should have been disqualified. He came out and said, it wasn't my finest moment. Yeah, you think, Phil?
Yeah, you think? Sean Brennan said, when the time machine is invented, would your first act be to go back to the moment BT was hired by Channel 7 and stop the resulting atrocities?
It's a fair question.
It would be the first thing. A lot of other people say they'd go back and kill Hitler.
No. You'd go back and kill BT. Or maybe not kill BT.
Maybe not.
Although when he was playing for Collingwood.
So we need to choose a T-shirt winner.
No, there's been some good questions this week.
Do you want to do it or you want me to do it?
Oh, you can do it. I mean, I do think, I can't remember who suggested it, but I do think we should send a T-shirt to Greg Norman.
To Greg Norman himself, yeah. He'd love it.
We could do that.
I'm going to give the question to Daniel Fernley, who said, given the large number of free kicks awarded at the World Cup, should the FFA have kept the Socceroos here and sent Hawthorn instead? Well done.
Well done, Daniel.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. thank you to our supporters again. You can support this podcast by going to titusonreilly.com. There's a supporter section there, and help us out with a little bit of money. Just the cost of a coffee a week. Yeah. No, it's less than that even. A year.
Or a bucket of Coronas.
A bucket of Coronas. and we'd also like to extend, if you can sleep with a World Cup player, you get a free T-shirt.
But we want proof. Well, actually, no, we don't.
We will see you later on.